The second issue I want to raise, Mr. Chairman, is to draw the attention of this August conference to the fact that our exploding population is inimical to our rapid development. I'm aware that our huge population is regarded as an asset and a mark of our greatness. In fact, it is said that 1 out of every African is a Nigerian. And there's this story about a young lady in East Africa whose husband was trying to convince her to have a 4th child. And she broke down crying bitterly. And the husband said, "Why are you weeping so much?" He said, "I'm weeping because if I have a 4th child, he will be a Nigerian." So she didn't want to have a 4th child. Mr. Chairman, sir, our population is expanding geometrically and inadequate, and then we are not providing adequately for our young population. The result is that the burden on infrastructure continues to grow astronomically. And it is no wonder that in spite of all our resources, recently the World Bank classified us as a country where you have one of the extremely poor people in the world. Something needs to be done, Mr. Chairman, and I just want this conference to create awareness of the demographic crisis facing this nation, as it is indeed a time bomb. Finally, Mr. Chairman, I want to add my voice to all those who have talked about the restructuring of this country, that we need to devolve power to the federation units and to reduce the number of items that are in the exclusive list, because it is at the federating unit that action can impact positively on the lives of the people. And we need to strengthen those federation units and to be able to increase increase the pace of our development. Finally, I want us to all adhere to the advice of Cassius Clay to his friend Brutus in the famous Shakespearean play Julius Caesar, that the fault is not in our stars but in ourselves. Let us therefore come up with resolutions that will move this country forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam. Njemanze, Chief Bob.
Mr. Chairman, I am not a chief. I am Prince Bob Njemanze. And having said that,
Prince for Chief?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm Prince Bob Njemanze, a delegate from Imo State.
Thank you.
I see that everyone here has applauded the President's speech. Mr. Chairman, I don't see much that I have to applaud the President's speech for. If a man has done exactly what he's supposed to do, and what is opted out, the purpose he's been put there to serve. We've been so deprived and denied to the point that we are now converting privileges to rights and rights to privileges. It's our entitlement that we should have good governance. So if a president comes out and enunciates things that will make for the better good of everybody, I don't see why we should be as sycophantic as those who were found in the 2 million man march. There's nothing so particular that we've not found in other speeches that have been written. What I think is most important in this circumstance, Mr. Chairman, is the implementation of those things that the President has enumerated. And we need to praise those speechwriters who are able to capture the mood of the nation and the mood of the President. We misplace our priorities and our privileges. Having said so, Mr. Chairman, I must commend you for the way you've conducted this whole proceedings, except for the undue attention you gave to the Lamido of Adamawa. Because, Mr. Chairman, there are very few Nigerians like Bolaji Akinyemi, Ike Nwachukwu, Aganga, and Agumojobi. These are very civilized Nigerians that cannot be subject. They are like people in an asylum. They are mixed up. The only thing I find commendable here is that for you to have light, you have to have the positive and the negative and then the neutral. So in this particular conference, we have all that put together. So I don't see anything so honorable or distinguished. Someone said to me, you must have come here as a state delegate, therefore you belong to APC. I belong to no party at all. I even asked my governor, I wondered why he chose me. My wife said something to me. You know you're not a team player. And I said to her, after 4 children with you, as my teammate, what other thing do I need to prove that I'm a team player? Mr. Chairman, everybody has talked about security. Now, the issue we have about security in this country is that we have failed to return the security, the head of security in every state to the commissioners of police. Patrick Okeke was the commissioner of police in eastern Nigeria. Kashim Ibrahim was out of the north, and we had one in the west. Soon after, the military took over, and it would be unheard of for a military governor to have a commissioner of police as his chief security officer. Now we've reverted to a democratic arrangement. Mr. Chairman, we should return the security vote to the commissioners of police, or allow the various governors who now parade as chief security officers of their state to run their state police command. Point of order, Mr. Chairman, I'm being interrupted. By the bell.
Will you then prepare to land now, Mr. Obi?
I should wind up. So, Mr. Chairman, without exhibiting indiscipline, I seek your indulgence because I even wrote you a letter requesting time before now. And I found out the eyes of the chairman and the panel was not going beyond there. In fact, EOM had to get me a red cap for purposes of identification. So the House, I seek your order, your permission. Right, turn down. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Team Player. If I'm empowered, I would have sent you out. Nkanga, you don't just sit. Nkanga, you don't just sit. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, fellow delegates, my name is Air Commodore Idonsin Nkanga from Akwa Ibom State. I'm a South-South delegate. Mr. Chairman, the president's speech was great. It was defined by patriotism and courage. But I shared in his pains and his passion because he was not only talking to delegates, he was talking to the entire country. He was talking to a country that is too rich to be regarded as poor and too poor to be regarded as rich. He was talking to a country where some citizens are more loyal to the ethnic group and religion than even to the nation. He was talking to a country that dishonesty is taken very lightly. We've talked about fake drugs. We've talked about fake certificates. Today we are asking for true federalism, which means we are operating fake federalism. Therefore, this conference was not only politically expedient, it is morally compelling. The president laid a good foundation for unity, progress, and prosperity, appropriately laced with justice and equity. Anybody that aspires to the position of leadership must have a good sense of history. And I think the president did that adequately in his address. No wonder he is a centenary and jubilee president. He has asked us to build a nation where every citizen is a proud and committed stakeholder. You can't do this when some people are first and some are second-class citizens. You can't do this when you have settlers and indigents. You can't do this when things are shared on the basis of religion and where you were born. Let me hope that at the end of this conference, such words and phrases will be removed from the lexicon of our national politics, or at least given appropriate place. Let me speak to Muslim brothers and our Christian brothers, the Buddhists, the Hindus, the animals, if we have them here. The greatest religion in Nigeria today is called money, materialism, and greed. If 5% of Nigerians are holding on to the wealth of this nation, it means they have taken the necessities from the masses to give luxuries to the classes. Let us not take them just so lightly. Some people have advocated for death sentence. Let me just add there that armed robbery is attracting death sentence. That in some states, kidnapping attracts death sentence. Government can make law. The law does not change the heart. Although it can restrain the heartless, it is religion and education that can do that. And thank God that we have our religious leaders here. When people loot the treasury and come and build new churches and new mosques, and you pray for them, you are only asking them to go and loot more. You should take note. In summary, if we leave this place and make only one recommendation, let it be that there will be true federalism and appropriate restructuring of this nation. Let us be sufficiently provoked to now have the kind of impression that we give to the world that people will respect us as honest people. I would like to ask our fellow delegates, as we stop the report, let it be an implementable report so that it doesn't stay on the shelves anymore. I'm very pleased and excited to have so many of our intellectuals here. But I hope we will not have theoretical solutions to practical problems. I therefore support the adoption of the address as a major working paper for this conference, and further recommend that we should do this conference at least 10 to 12 years so that we can see how the union is doing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In Kendeme, Chief Barrister Nicholas Duru, CP, retired.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, the principal officers of this conference, distinguished and honorable delegates. I join my colleagues who have spoken to appreciate and commend. I am Chief Barrister Nicholas Daru, not Duru, as in your paper. I'm a retired commissioner of police. I'm here to represent the Association of Retired Police Officers, APROM. I hail from Imo State in the southeast geopolitical zone. I said before that I want to appreciate and commend Mr. President in his speech for the courage, political will, and love of this nation, for convoking this conference, despite all odds and criticism from the antagonists. The President showed a clear demonstration of democracy. The President wanted the voice of the people to be heard and be responded. The President has offered us opportunity to sit down as Nigerians, like brothers and sisters, and try to review the way forward in our task of nation building and economic way for the nation. Yes, as a person, I feel very happy being here. But again, I came here, I saw the timbers and calibers of this Nigerian society. The people I believe must have played some prominent part in the growth and perhaps the fall of this country. I now ask, are we ready to forget the past and forge ahead? If that is so, then we have to do what we call retro-inspection. Ask yourself, what have you done Or what have we done to bring the country to this impasse? What, as a Minister of Federal Republic of Nigeria, the senators, board chairmen of the past, what do I do as a commissioner of police? What did I do to get this country to this mess? Then let us think back and probably chart a new roadmap to make sure that we go forward. Really, people have been singing and praising President for the speech. But I want to say, without being immodest, that Nigeria, what needs to be said to Nigeria has been said. Our problem is implementation. And this lack of implementation is because of what I can say, the three vices that worry Nigeria. One is indiscipline. Another one is orientation. The other one is this omnibus corruption. People have said that they blame the colonial masters for what we are today, or the military intervention, and so on, or the bad constitution. To me, I say that is irrelevant. I remember we have built 3 refineries in this country that we are functioning. As students, we visited it on excursion. Do we ask ourselves one day what has happened to those refineries? Who were the managers? Why did we find ourselves as the country that is among the greatest oil-producing countries in the world? We have no refinery in our place. How will people look at us? Come to think of other abandoned projects in Nigeria. Let me now ask one thing. Nigerians, as sport lovers, particularly football, we have acquired teams overseas. But do we ask ourselves why our referees have never been invited in the in the FIFA or
Please wind up.
CAF organized competitions?
Wind up, please.
Mr. Chairman, I thank you for giving me this opportunity, because I have not spoken since I came here. But I want to say that the chairman should give police a separate committee to discuss what problems about Nigerian police. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Namani, His Excellency Senator Ken. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, my fellow delegates, Mr. President called on us, delegates, to avoid ethnic and religious cleavages and to focus on what will make Nigeria great and prosperous. In my view, to achieve this, we should focus on the future of Nigeria and not the past. The future of Nigeria lies in building a modern democratic state. The basis of a modern democratic state is citizenship. And that means the death of indigenship or state of origin in the form given to us to indicate our interests in various committees. We were asked to state our state of origin. When it gets going, I expect that that column should read state of residency or state of domicile, which implies where you are living, not necessarily where you are born. I am one of those who believe that our constitution, as a certain delegate mentioned, is too cumbersome. Our constitution is like an encyclopedia. We have difficulty going through it because the federal government has appropriated, or by error, our constitution has given too much powers to the center. I'll give two illustrations. The federal government is responsible for the federal prisons, but the inmates are mainly from states, and federal pays for that. I have no idea why the federal government should be responsible for issuing of driver's license, such as responsibilities of states. And by the way, if we feel that the federated unit should be states, then of course states should absorb such functions. But some of us, our new thoughts are that the federating units should be the zones. We talk about 6 geopolitical zones. If the zones can be equal in stature or in status, and then the issue of local governments should be left for the zones or for the states, so that if a state or a zone interested in creating and making every family a local government, it should feel free to do so. So in my view, in my opinion, one of the areas that can unify our country is to decentralize the central government and let states or the zones, as the current thought seem to be, take the responsibility of so many things, and that will make our constitution to be manageable and simple and not sound like a Bible. And the way it stands now, the fact that our constitution has become a community minute book in the sense that it requires panel beating every time, showing that it is ab initio faulty. So, I'm one of those that will be advocating very strongly when we get to committee stage that the federating units should be the zones. Because if we think about that, the zones should, the presidency should rotate among the zones. And if we say 6 years single term, it means we will need 36 years for presidency to go around all the zones. So it will give every zone the opportunity of participating in presidency. Those who are advocating states as the unit of federating units, looking at the smaller picture, the bigger picture is to talk about the zones. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that contribution. Inebe, Right Honorable Chief Anayo. Honorable Inebe, Chief Anayo.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, my name is Right Honorable Chief Anayo Nebe. I hold the traditional title of Icheledikor. May I start by aligning myself with the earlier speakers who had already described the present speech in superlative terms. I wish to add sincerely that the present speech is incisive, it is compact, and it is very robust. The main thrust of the speech is the need for us to strengthen the unity of this country. Unity that is based on